Okay, this is another video for my wash machine series. I think it'll be episode 7. On this one I'm going to take some more of my old wash machine to pieces. I'm going to take some more parts off it. It's the project to take all the parts out, look at all the parts and learn a bit more about the parts, what they look like, what they do, and just to share with you the components that go into a typical front loader wash machine. So it's a Beko. If you've seen the previous series, my wash machine series episodes, you'll have an idea where I've left off regarding what I've been doing with our wash machines, the new one and this old one. But in this episode it's just going to be about taking more parts off this. I've already took the motor out and drain pump out on the previous episodes, and I think on this one I'll decide in a minute. I'm just going to take off, I'm eventually going to take this whole thing to pieces. And as I say, in my previous episodes I've took the front panel off, top panel off, counterballast weights, top and front, drain pump and drive motor, the main drive motor. These have all been removed so far in the previous episodes. This episode I think I'm going to take off the front control panel and motherboard, which is the main circuit board. And I'll take off the soap dispenser drawer, the whole assembly that is. I might take off the pressure sensor switch and the, what's that called again, the diode or something, it's DC to AC to DC. We've got the inlet valves for the water, or the cold water in this case. So, the drive motor's been removed already, so there's nothing connected to the back. It's just the pulley. I will get around to taking the whole drum assembly out. Got heater element down there as well, so I'll take out in due course. I think in this episode I'll take the front panel off, the drawer off. I'll start by taking off the front panel and main circuit board. I've got my toolbox with us and I'll show you what I'm going to do, what the plan is to take these parts off, how I'm going to do it. Being the middle of January, it's blooming freezing and my hands are cold. So to get this front panel off, I just press down on these lugs. Now this isn't getting reassembled, this machine is finished. The reason it's finished, as I mentioned earlier in my other videos, is because of that. Suspension, that's going to pull through and the whole thing's just going to collapse. So I went into more detail on previous videos. I won't go into too much detail on that in this video because I've already covered it. Now the dispenser jar needs to come out. I should have maybe took that out first. Now it's not easy to film and do this at the same time. In fact, it's very awkward. Very awkward, but never mind. I have now got the dispenser drawer out. The model of the machine I've already highlighted on my earlier episodes. Just refer back to them if you want to get more details. You'll even get the last wash of this machine as well, when they've done its final wash ever. So that's the front panel off. The next object is to disconnect the wires. So they pull out. Now, I'm not really going to do this too well because I'm going to need both hands for this, but they basically push down and the plug unclips, and it's the same with all the remaining ones. Now with the control board removed, all the plugs have been disconnected. This is the main circuit board, the main motherboard, controls everything. I will dive into this into more depth later on, but for now I'm just going to move it out the way just now, and I'm going to now remove the detergent dispenser unit, this assembly. So we're going to unclip them. I want to know how this works as well, because there's a method for getting the softener in. The water for the inlet for the pre-wash, that's the pre-wash, that's the main wash, that's the softener. So the pre-wash one, the cold water will come in through this pipe and through here. For the main wash, it'll come in from this pipe and through here, which will drain into the main wash, the water will wash the powder in. And for the softener, I'm not quite sure how it does that. I think both jets come on, causes a spray for it to come through here to wash the softener in. That's my understanding. But I'm going to get a closer look at this when I remove it. Anyway, so first thing I'm going to do is get the pipe grips onto there to slacken them off, to unclip the pipe hoses. So for the pipe hoses, just slide that back. Now I'm right-handed and filling them with my right hand, which means I'm using my left hand, which isn't the best one for me to use for this task because it's awkward. I can't really fill them very well with my left hand, so I'll be the same with the other. I think I may just, you get the idea, I hope. I think I'm going to have to put the camera down. I'm going to need both hands to get them off, but that's the tool I use. That's what I'm aiming to do to get them off. That's both pipes off. I tell a lie, it's actually late January. It's the 29th of January, so it's pretty cold nonetheless. It's the middle of winter. It's past the middle. Phillips screw to remove. I took one out already previously. It's just this one here, which I'm really in right-handed and using my left hand because I'm filling with the right, so it's a bit awkward, but never mind. I just try to show you as best as I can what I'm doing. I've also got my gloves on because my hands are absolutely freezing. I have to put this down, I think. It's just a bit awkward. So that's the smoke dispenser unit. Oh, there's the bottom hose as well. There's a pipe that leads into the drum, the inlet pipe that needs to come off the bottom of the dispenser unit. So I'm going to do that now. It's held on a wee bit different, this pipe. It seems to fit over as such, and it hangs. Oh no, I had this screwdriver, well, I just use my finger. So it's just hanging, it's kind of like overhung on this little thing here. This rubber bit is stretched up on this hook, so it's hooked on the top, as you might see. There isn't actually any pipe grips required to get that off. It seems like it's just a case of unhooking it. It's hooked on there, if you could zoom in and try and show you. So the rubber needs to come off that hook, off there, in order to release this pipe off the bottom of the dispenser drawer. So I'll do that now. I think there's a clip on to where it goes onto the drum. There is down there, you can maybe just see the silver. So we need pipe grips to get to that one. If I'll zoom in, I won't zoom in, of course won't. But I'll just get this off first. I'll get the drawer off first. I'll get that pipe off the bottom of the drawer first. Quite easy, I just got the screwdriver, just pried it over that hook, and that is just simply came off, just like that. So the drawer should just come right off the machine assembly, and it does. Now, it's filthy, but the detergent, the softener inlet must be that the water comes in both at the same time to cause a spray of water to go in this channel to drip down into the, well, through these holes there, into the softener. That could only be the way that it could wash the softener in. So for the pre-wash, that'll just come on. For the main wash, that one will just come on. And for the softener, both will come on, and the water will, it'll cause a jet of water to form. So go along this channel, out through the holes, drip down into here, and wash the softener in to the in through this pipe and into the drum. That's the inlet pipe, and that is clipped onto the drum with a pipe. Oh no, it's not, it's a screw, Jubilee clip type. So I can actually unscrew that. I'll go and get myself a Phillips screwdriver. I'll unscrew this whole assembly off, this whole pipe assembly. And it's flexible to allow for movement because the drum's on a suspension, so that's got to be a flexible pipe. As is the sump pipe as well. That's what's going into the drain pipe. That has to be flexible also to allow for the suspension movement, because this whole drum is on a suspension system. Right, so I'm going to get this pipe off. I'll get a Phillips screwdriver and remove it. So it's just a case of slackening that screw with a Phillips screwdriver, unscrewing it, in order to release the clip to allow that pipe to come off. It didn't take a lot. I didn't need to unscrew the whole thing. I just needed to slacken this clip in order to pull it off of the inlet port to the drum. As you could see, that's the inlet, and you'll see that turning actually as I move the drum with my hand. You'll be able to see the inner drum turning through that inlet port, just so that you know that that's the angle the water comes in. You would be able to see the light coming through there, I would assume. There's my glove there, look. But anyway, it's not really that important, but you get the idea, I hope. Right, now that I've got that removed, I've got this inlet flexible hose removed, control board removed. I wonder what I'll take off next. I think I might move the... maybe take off the door seal. Yeah, I think I'll take the front door seal off. Now to do that, there is a screw that will be more than likely in the most awkward place to reach now. So it's a little bit, I could turn this whole machine on its back, turn it upside down because it's no longer in use. But there is a, probably right in the bottom, no doubt. I believe there's a, or is it just those? There's got to be a screw somewhere. I'll go and see if I can find where it is, and when I do, I'll let you know. I'm beginning to think maybe it's just a case of unhooking that over there. I don't see that this would pry off. I'm going to have to ask my dad on that one, but I reckon that just hooks over. I can't see anything else, any adjuster screws, so I'm going to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this jacket off and get my old jacket on. I'm sick of getting it caught and getting it dirty on there. This is my good one, so I'm going to change my jacket and wear my old one. I should have done that in the first place. That's the first thing I'm going to make to do. Change my jacket before the thing gets ripped and dirty. It's filthy. It's always filthy. It doesn't matter how hard you try to keep clean. Forget it, you're going to get filthy. Right, jacket change right away. So I've changed into my older jacket. I'm going to have another look round the whole circumference of that spring to see if there's any adjuster screws to make it easier. If not, it just has to be unhooked from these springs, the hook bits on the spring. So my dad's busy at the moment, I can't really disturb him. I should be able to figure it out myself. The machine on it's at an angle. I could really do anything I want to this machine because it's finished. But and putting the camera right around the whole circumference, I've looked around the whole circumference and actually get a better view looking through the camera screen, to be honest. I can't see anything where I could slacken this or take the tension off the spring other than to unhook it from there or just peel it off or something. I don't know, I might have to just peel back on the spring to get it off, but I've gone right the way around and I can't see any slackener adjusters or anything, so I think I'm just going to peel it off because there doesn't even seem to be much of a gap for that to come apart. That's permanently on, so the spring must just flex round, so I'm just going to expand the spring so it could come off of the seal, to release the seal from the outer drum. Flat screws ever to pry it off that spring. Now this video, I'll make it clear, I'm not a qualified technician or electrician or anything like that. This video is only for entertainment purposes only, and don't quote me on anything. I'm only just sharing with you my experience of taking this machine apart for my project so I can see the parts, and I'm just going to show the viewers what I'm doing, and that's it. It's not to be quoted on, so just have to mention that. Really just kind of doing anything really that I deem what I want to do, and I'm not recommending anybody quote me or do anything like this. Now I didn't think I could actually do it this way, and then doing this with my left hand and filming with my right, and that is awkward, but it seems to be working, so I can maybe even show you it and try not to puncture the seal. It's good practice not to. Because if it's a new seal, you certainly wouldn't want to use a flat screwdriver to do that. Right, I'm going to put it down and I'm just going to move it. You get the idea of what I'm doing, don't you? So it's just a case of getting that spring, which literally sprung off. Now I can put this back down on its feet. I can maybe then peel off the door seal. Now I'm using a sharp flat screwdriver. You wouldn't do that with a real, with a one that you're intending on using, because you don't want to burst the seal. Right, I'm going to put this down, figure out what's going on here. I've got the spring off, now I just need to remove the rubber off of the outer drum. And as I just pulled on it, just enough to get it started, you could see how it fits onto the lip of the outer drum. So it was just a case of pulling it to get the thing started, and then the rest just peels off quite straightforward and easily without a great deal of force. And that's the outer, that's the main door seal removed, and it reveals the gap between the outer and inner drum. I wouldn't be in a hurry to reassemble that, because my dad's done it often enough on machines and they are quite awkward. So it's easy to take something apart, but maybe not so easy to reassemble it. I don't need to worry about this anyway, because this is just going to go to scrap anyway. So that's the door seal removed. Now, what shall I do next? That's how the suspension struts, the shock absorber struts. I might leave that for another video, because I've got something to do later on. I might not. What's the time anyway? No, maybe. Well, I don't know. Anyway, this is how far I've got to. I'll just recap what I've done. Summarise what I've done. I've got a picture. I've took off front control board and plugged all the wire and harness plugs. Just, you can see how they have been unplugged as part of the main wire harness. Then I've removed the jaw comes out anyway, just pressing on that, which releases that wee lug. The jaw then could come out just without any tools. The main drawer assembly unit I've removed, taken off the inlet pipe from the bottom, the inlet to the drum that is. The inlets to the jaw are at the back. They come in through the water comes in through the back of the machine via these solenoids. The solenoids energise, they're basically valves. They open, they close. They open to let the water in, they close to stop the water coming in. Whatever one's open depends on what part of the programme. That'll be the pre-wash, that'll be the main wash. Both come on for the softener, or vice versa, but you know what I mean. That's the inlet to the drawer. Through the drawer, through the powder detergent, down through the hose. Flexible hose, it's got to be flexible, remember, because this whole drum assembly is on a suspension and the flexible one connects to there. The drawer is fixed to the chassis, that doesn't move. The drum does move, that pipe needs to be flexible, as does the drain pipe sump plug at the bottom, because the pump's fixed to the chassis, it doesn't move. The drum does move, this pipe must be allowed to allow movement. It's got to be flexible. Right, next thing I'm going to do, so I've took off these. I think I'm going to just go for some light stuff today. I'll maybe leave the drum, the big ones, for another day. So I'll remove the main water inlet valve assembly. I think I'll be not really seeing this yet. I'm going to end up dropping this thing, I know. Hang on. This is the back of it. Phillips screw there. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but there's one Phillips screw that I could see. There isn't anything else. That's the other end of it there. I'll see if I can zoom in. That's the other end of that Phillips screw. So I can't see anything else that's holding this valve assembly in. So I'm going to take that screw out. The wires, the unplug. I'll look at, oh yeah, there's a wee tab there. I'll see if I could just zoom in to show you that. That tab has to be pushed down in order for that plug to come out. So I can't really do this at the same time as filming, but you get the idea. That needs to be pushed down in order to release this plug. Oh, I need both hands for that, so I've showed you what I'm going to do. It's quite easy, very easy, just right. So I just simply pushed it down on the lub tabs with this flat screwdriver, at the same time pulling out the plugs, and they released fairly straightforward. So now I'm just going to get the Phillips screwdriver into there to remove that locking screw. So, the screw there that's fitted right through, which comes through to there. Seemingly that's all it's holding this on. The screw removed, it seems like this thing needs to be twisted and turned. There's a little lip there, another one at the bottom. So this whole thing, that needs to get pushed through to allow this to turn. That screw has been removed. That is stopping it from turning. That would probably need to get pushed back at the same time as I turn it to get this there through that hole, and at the same time as I'm rotating it, this bottom one has to go through there. So as I rotate this whole thing, that's going to go through that hole, that's going to go through that hole, but in order to make this thing rotate, that screw has to come out, that has to be pushed in at the same time as rotating it, in order for it to come out. It's a little bit awkward, to be honest. Similar sort of setup to the drain pump. That had to be twisted as well to get through these lugs, locking tabs rather. So the whole pump needed to be rotated in order for it to go through, and there was 3 screws to hold the pump and the drain pump. That was done on an earlier episode of my washing machine series episodes. Right, after a lot of effort, that was awkward as, yeah, I won't swear. It was awkward. It's been in for about 10 years, but it's never moved since assembly probably. You certainly never had it out, so yeah, it would have been in since assembly. It just took a lot of persuasion to get it out, but it's out now, finally. There's one bass of a job, I'll just leave it at that. That was not easy to get out. It was really, really awkward. That was a very tight fit, but it's out. It's out now. Full assembly, valve inlet assembly. That's the solenoids. The energizer is a coil of wire. Once electricity goes to it, causes an electromagnetic effect, which pulls, because it's magnetic, it causes the magnetic force pulls up a valve inside there to allow the water to flow through this gauze type filter and through these pipes and into the dispenser drawers. So when the machine decides that it's no longer wanting any more water, this will de-energise, the coil will be no longer energised, the electromagnetic effect, what a flight, that's just someone's dog, what a flight. The electromagnetic effect will no longer be in effect, which will allow the spring to, presumably it's a spring inside there, it must be a spring in there that will close the valve to prevent to stop the water from going through these pipes. So when the machine decides it's time to fill up, it applies power to the coil of wires, creating an electromagnetic force which will pull up on the ferrous metal valve against the spring, and in doing so it will allow the water to flow. And assuming, don't quote me, like I say, this video is only for entertainment purposes only, so don't quote me, but I am assuming there'll be some kind of spring in there that when the power's no longer supplied to it, that the spring will close the valve shut. So therefore when you switch off the machine at the wall, at the socket, the water will still be up to here on your mains water input, but the valve will be sprung shut, stopping it from actually going into the machine until it's time for the machine to be switched on, and then it will put power to the coils, creating that electromagnetic force to open the solenoid, to open the valve to allow the water to come through these pipes and into the detergent drawer, the whole mix, and event ultimately go into the drum. So that's the inlet valve component removed with the 2 pipes attached to it also. Next, I think I'll take off the pressure switch. This is the I believe this is the pressure switch. Now it looks as though it's just a kind of case of unclipping it from there. There is the pipe that connects to the drum somewhere. There it does, it connects, you can see it. Oh, see if we can zoom in. There. So that will detect how much water is in the drum. I'm not quite sure how it works. My dad will know, but I'm not wanting to disturb him just now, he's busy. So I'm just going to take a guess that it must be like a kind of vacuum or something that's created, like a diaphragm in here or something, that once the water fills up to the desired level, calibrated by this, it will then send a signal through these wires to the brain, to this wiring harness, which will go to this brain here, which will then tell the valves at the back, or which were at the back, it'll tell these valves to close. It'll cut the power to them, it'll stop the water going through once the drum has reached the preset level. And this is what will be, this is the means it's done. Now that pipe is long enough to allow the flexible movement when the drum is moving out. I don't know how it's fitted onto there yet. Does it just push fit? Does that just pull off, I wonder? Let's see, shall we? No, it doesn't. Not very easily anyway. I think it will, but it might need a bit of gentle persuasion. That might be pried off. So I won't be able to film that. What I will do is turn this thing upside down to get to it, and then that will release this pipe. This will then, again with the wiring, there'll be a wee tab there, I guess, that needs to be lifted in order to get this plug to come out. These plugs have got to be firmly locked in, by the way, because you know how much vibration these machines produce when they're working. So they've got to be really secure. These plugs have got to be, plugs in general on a washing machine, electrical plugs in general, have got to be securely fitted, because there's a lot of vibration going on and they need to be prevented from working loose. Right, I'm going to tip this back and get a better look at this pipe. Back, and all I've done is quite simply pull on it, and I pulled maybe just a little bit too hard, unfortunately, and I broke the thing. Doesn't matter because this isn't going on anyway. This would be a disaster if it was to be reassembled. It's not to be reassembled. The way to properly do it would be to pry back the rubber and kind of like, you know, work it back, just screw it like that. I kind of like just pulled on it. I had this leverage and I just yanked on it and broke the bloody thing, but unfortunately I wasn't really wanting to do that, but it doesn't matter because this is getting scrapped. You wouldn't do that if you were intent on reassembling it. You certainly would not do that. You would work it off. You'd pry the rubber back a little bit and you would just sort of, there's no clamps or clips or anything to undo. It's just a case of, this has got to be on tight, by the way, because if this comes off during the wash, the water's just going to come right out the bottom. It'll just going to piss right out the bottom and it's going to be a disaster. So that really needs to be on pretty damn good, really, really tight. That's why it was awkward to get off. But as I say, I'm not a technician. I'm not a washing machine repairman. So don't quote me on it. That's not how you would do it. You wouldn't just yank on it like what I done. You would get a flat screwdriver or a flat instrument. You would get a appropriate instrument in there to help start it off, one that wouldn't burst the pipe, and you would just kind of manipulate it off. I couldn't. There wasn't any point. This isn't going back, so I just yanked it off. But you get the gist of it anyway, right? So what I'm going to do now is put this back on its feet. Now that this is pipes and done, I'm going to now remove this electrical connector, and then I'm going to figure out how this thing comes off. Now I think it's just a case of, again, put a screwdriver in there just to pry these plastic bits in. So I'll need to put the phone down for that. Okay, what I've done is kind of broke that getting off, unfortunately. Just maybe a wee bit too much force because I used a flat screwdriver. I kind of like broke it, but it doesn't matter. It's getting scrapped anyway. Again, all it would need is just a little bit of manipulation, you know, just taking it easy with it, and it would come off no problem. Like I say, I'm not really got a lot of time and in a bit of a rush, so it kind of just broke. But I'm no, it doesn't matter because it's not going back on. But anyway, the electrical thing came off without any problem. I just lifted that tab up very slightly and pulled the cable at the same time, the plug at the same time to remove it. And you can see how it fits. There's a three pins on 3 tracks on that printed circuit board. That's the plug. You can see the 3 corresponding tracks in there for the pressure switch. This is the pressure switch. I could break into these later on another episode to see what it looks like inside them, but right now this is just about getting the main components off. So that's another one to another thing to move. Makes my job easier when it comes to moving this whole assembly back into the storage because it becomes lighter. Now that I've got the pressure switch assembly removed, the next thing I'm going to do is, I think this is called a triarch or something. Well, it's quite interesting. So I think my dad had this off before and done work on it. So that's the plug, the electrical plug that I've took off, and again it looks as though these clips just pull back to allow the board to come out. Now this has definitely been off before. I remember my dad working on this, so it's actually coming out easier, because these plastic things, once they've been opened once, I don't think they're ever the same again. You know. Now I'm going to need both hands for this because I'm almost certain to break it a bit if I try and do it with just my left hand. So I'm going to put the camera away. The next scene, next video, the next part of this video, this will be removed in one bit hopefully. It's been a development, one closer inspection. This Phillips screw here seems to hold this this assembly. So all I've done is take the electrical connector off. If I take that Phillips screw out, this whole assembly might just come right off of the washing machine's bodywork. So I'm going to try removing that and see what happens. Rather than try to take the circuit board off of them, I think that's all part of the assembly anyway. But this screw here would allow this whole thing to come off. So I'm going to wait to give that a go. This screw removed, there still seems to be something resistant from coming off. So I don't know just kind of what's going on now. Oh no, it was just some tape at the back. That's all. Right, so I've got this off. Triarch, I think it's called. And to get the circuit board off, these tabs pull off. Now, my dad definitely done work on this before because there was a problem with it after the brushes had burned out. It caused a knock-on effect. I'm quite sure it was this. So that circuit board has been removed. Now it's time. It's getting on, so I'm going to maybe just what else? I think that might just do for now. Door interlock, I can maybe remove that as well, I suppose, just in case of unplugging it. I'll get a closer look inside these on a different video. But to unplug it, it looks as though these tabs there, these white tabs, need to lift over this black bit here in order for this to come out. At least that's either going to be that or this bit here. There's going to be some locking mechanism anyway that needs to be pulled back. Let's see, it might be that one there actually on closer inspection. Door interlock off. That was the case of just pulling this plastic bit back. That now releases this plug, electrical connector to come off of here. This is the door interlock bit there. Now I'm not quite sure where the actual lock is. I'm not sure how it locks yet, but I don't know where the mechanical lock is on here. I'm not quite sure how it works yet, but I will on closer inspection and I can maybe explain it on another video. But for now, That's it off. So it goes in there with the rest of the stuff. Right, next. Yeah, I'm not going to take off the drum today. I'll leave that for another job. I wonder if I should take the heating element out. Yeah, I might do that actually. Just for ease, I'm going to take the drain hose off the back. Again, just clip it. Pull this clip back at the rod. That'll then allow this to come off. Now, this is what you do to get the pipes off. You just twist them and pull them at the same time. That's what you would ideally do with this thing here regarding the pressure switch. But the actual stub bit came off inside. No bother anyway because it's finished. So, but that's what you should really do. It's just, as I say, what I've done with that hose is just twist it and pull at the same time. That's how you would do it if you would intend on reassembling it. And obviously it would take a great deal more care if that was the case. But it's not, so it doesn't matter. Right, I'm going to turn this on its back to access the heater element at the bottom of the tub, or the outer drum. Now with the washing machine tipped over a wee bit, now it makes it easier for me to access the heater element. Now that'll be the thermometer for the, well, at least that's the plug going to the thermometer. And I wonder if that just unscrews. It might pull out, twist and pull maybe to get the temperature sensor out. I'm guessing that's what that'll be. That's the main feed, electrical feed to the elements. There'll be quite heavy current, quite a lot of electricity required. That's the earth wire. That's the spade connector. I've just pulled off the earth wire. I've pulled off the, I reckon that because it's quite thin wires, that'll just be a sensor for to go to the brain or the ECU. It goes to the main wiring harness and it'll end up behind here, and this will deter what's temperature, you know, send a signal. But that's the temperature, the thermometer, water temperature sensor there. And I think it just, there's a seal there, it might actually just pull out. I'm going to try to get the element out. There's a bolt that needs to be done to undone, so I shall go and look out the tools for that. Right, so like I said, I've not looked at the right tools or anything. I just sort of make it up as I go along. I've just used a pair of needle nose pliers, that'll do it. And I've slackened off that bolt just by using this. That now is slack enough for me to get that bolt off by a finger. I'm kind of hoping the element assembly will just come out afterwards. So you get the idea. Off the spade connectors for the main input electricity to the element, the main power feed, that one and that one. It was just spade connectors, as you could hopefully see if this camera will zoom in, which it won't. There we go, it is now. To get the element out, I'm going to put my gloves on because these are sharp. I think it's only a case of pulling it out, I think. Let's find out. What I'm doing is I've been pulling out the element. That rubber grommet type seal there, that black rubber grommet seal, I think that stays on the drum assembly. And the elements seem to be pulling out now. As I was pulling, the suspension came off, one of the springs came off, and the whole drum has sort of moved forward, but that's no big deal. So I'm going to maybe just do a wee bit more of brute force and put my foot there, and I'll see if I can pull it. Yeah, it's not coming out too easily. So I'll have to figure out what's up. Oh gosh. That's how they come off. There's no need to unbolt them. They actually just sit. I didn't realise that. They sit. The suspension sits. The shock absorbers sit over there. I thought I had to take the whole strut off. But these bits stay in apparently. So maybe I could get the whole drum assembly out today after all. I thought I'd have to go in to take all this out in the vein, but no. Right, one thing at a time. What I'm going to do is continue on with this, then I'll figure out what's going on here with this drum assembly. I've given up with this just now. I don't know what the heck's going on with that. But what I have learned is that the plastic strut bits that are on the drum, the black bits there, just go over them. That's all. Now I thought there'd be oil and water or something. Not oil, water. Sorry, I thought there'd be oil filled, but it looks like they might just be gas filled. Air. Use air instead. like a piston plunger sort of setup. But there wasn't any tools required, it just lifted straight off all three of them. There's three struts on this one. I thought to change the strut you'd have to take that off, so I wasn't planning, but I didn't realise that the drum actually just lifted right off them. So all I need to do is take the two stop springs off and the whole drum assembly will come out. So I think I could do that in the time that I've got. Pressure sensor, by the way, came out. Not the pressure sensor, sorry, the temperature sensor, temperature probe. It came off the centre bit there. I don't know why this isn't coming right out, but it's really proven to be difficult. I'm going to get this whole drum. There is an anti-siphon pipe that needs to come off of here. That's connected to the drain hose. Again, it'll just be a case of pulling it off, I reckon, if I can find it. Ah, yeah, there it is. So like before, you would normally twist and squeeze it, twist and pull it rather, but because I'm not in any hurry, well, it's not going to assemble again, because I'm not going to be reassembling it rather, I could probably just, you know, do whatever necessary to get that off, and I'll remove the complete drum assembly from the chassis of the washing machine. Because it was easier to get that pipe off the siphon pipe off of the drain hose, this unit here, this bit here, this fixture or housing, that's what it should look like on both ends of it. I was able just to pull that one off quite easily. It's still attached to the drum, but that's okay, that'll just be attached to the drum, it doesn't really pose a problem. All I need to do is now unhook the springs from here, that's the reason why I scrapped this machine, and also there as well, it's another reason. So this is what it looks like at the moment. As I say, this is the strut bits that just simply go over these metal bits. I must use the air or something as a compressor means to dampen the, because you could compress air, you see. So we'll use the air, compress the air. I'm guessing there's no any oil or anything leaking out of them, so it's not oil filled shock absorbers. It's just not gas filled either, it's just using air as I'll probably draw in air as it goes up. There's a piston, I'm not quite sure how it works, but I'll use an air principle. I must compress air in this chamber here, a bit like an air suspension. I'm faced with another problem. There's not enough clearance for the drum to come out. So I think what I'm going to have to do is remove this screw and that screw to remove this panel, or this brace, and that will then allow enough clearance for this drum to come out. So a Phillips screw there, and a Phillips screw there to be slackened and removed, and this should move this bar, if you want to call it that. It's like it's flexible. So I'll remove that and then try and get the drum out this time. I've got the drum out. Now, that heater element is an absolute nightmare. It's not wanting to come out. I'm not sure what the heck's going on with it, but it just doesn't want to budge. Anyhow, this is the reason why this machine was going to get scrapped, or why I scrapped it. This hole here is meant to end there, and all that material was meant to be there to stop the spring for the suspension, you know, from pulling through. Now you can see it's just wore right the way up, and there's only that bit of material left. This is all integrated with the whole drum, so really this thing's finished. And on the other side, it's not much better. So eventually it's just going to pull right through, and that would be a disaster, because if that machine's working and that drum collapses like that, you can imagine the amount of carnage it would cause. The water would be everywhere. It would not be very nice. So I had to nip that on the bud before it happens, and get a new machine, which we've got. Now it would have been nicer if they designed it so that it's maybe made of metal or something, or if this component could come off, you know, replace this bit. But it's all part of the one moulding, which means you know how much hassle it was to get that drum out there. I don't know how on earth we meant to change the heater elements. I've just given up with it just now. I'm not going to muck around with it any longer. I might have to research a bit more into how I get the heater element out. But the casing anyway, that's just a dampening insulation sound deadener. That's where the struts go. they correspond with these bits here. If I get the light on. So there's no any oil or gas or anything in there. They're not gas filled, but they are. They just use the air that's all around. You know, it'll just draw in air from outside, basically. You know, just ambient air. I'll just draw air in and use that as a means of compressing for a dampening effect. It's the springs. So this is now considerably lighter now. This is really, well, that's it, pretty much stripped right down. I will go into all the and in depth to the components. Again, maybe take the drum bearing out, take the drum out, the inner drum. Take this inner drum out of the outer drum. I could do all that in a later video. I won't do this today because I've got to get going. Got other things to do. I've got to tidy all this up. But I didn't expect that to come out as easy. I didn't realise that the shock absorbers just simply go over those struts. I thought you had to take that as one unit. The locking mechanism to get them out, I've not really got round to that yet, but that'll be for another video. So that's it for now. I didn't expect to be taking all this out. That's this anti-siphoning hose. So I'm not really bothered about that. It's easier just taking it off of there, because I've more access to it. This heater element, I've no idea how on earth I meant to get that out. I've tried, and right now I'm not going to waste any more time here. I'm just leaving it like that for now. I'll look at that later, but not just now. It's annoyed me that. I was hoping to get that out, but it's just the way it goes. No time to spend too long on that. I might even get the inner drum out. Now on a closer inspection, I'm going to wonder if this inner drum will actually be able to come out. It must do, because how on earth do you? Because there's not enough room for it to come out for here. So how does the inner drum come out of here? So this is the next problem. I wonder if this is going to do with this whole drum. I think it splits. I think this whole tub splits. I think that these lobs, the tabs, there'll be a gasket and sealer. It'll be a nightmare getting this off because it'll be super tight. But I reckon this comes apart actually, and that's the only way to get the inner drum out from this outer drum assembly. Again, that'll be for another video. That's it for this video. So I'll get a wee sort of photo show of all the bits for this to wrap this video up. I'll put all these bits in an orderly fashion, picture them all, and just summarise. So I've tidied up, I've kind of like put parts in a reasonable orderly fashion. I'll just kind of briefly go through them all. So, inner and outer drum assembly with that stubborn heater element at the back that just refuses to come out. I don't know how we meant to do that, but I'll look at that later. Dry spindle. That's the pressure, anti-siphon hose, that black pipe there. That's where the pressure sensor hose would go to activate this pressure switch, which is here. Tells the machine when the drum is filled to the desired amount of water. To get the inner drum out of the outer drum assembly, it looks as though this outer drum assembly has to come apart via these tabs. That will be an absolute nightmare. I reckon it will be super tight, but that will be for another video. Moving over to the washing machine chassis, or the main bodywork. It's a unitary construction, whatever you want to call it. In other words, it's self-sustaining, self-holding. It holds itself together. It's just referred to as a chassis. It's what holds everything together. The main bodywork. Monarchy is another way of calling it, like that of pressed steel cars. They're monarchy design or unitary design. In other words, it's self-supporting. A separate chassis would be an underframe of which everything is built onto. Well, this washing machine pressed steel panelled bodywork holds everything together, so it's a unitary construction, similar to your mass produced cars. They use pressed steel to form the main structure, of which the non-load bearing panels bolt onto. And in the washing machine's instance, you've got the front panel which is off. I've shown it on another earlier videos. You've got the control panel which bolts on. They're non-load bearing panels. The front panel might actually act as a stiffener as well, but it might form part of the load bearing. But your plastic stuff like the drawer, they're non-load bearing things that bolt onto this assembly. But this assembly holds everything. This is the main frame, if you like, the main structure. And there's still things that are in there that I could come up with later. You've got the main wiring harness, you've got the suspension spring on that side, and on the other side, which actually just come right off. They just simply hook on over there, isn't it? Quite easy. That's why I've also removed them as well, so they too could join the list of parts that I've got. It's the mains, inputs, capacitor. You got your this brace, cross brace I removed earlier so I could get the drum assembly out. It's a blooming nightmare, tight as anything to get out like. Then you got the sound deadener stuff, which just seems to, that would be adhesively stuck there. It's through time it's just worn. Oh, it's just lost the adhesiveness. That's just the remains of the drain pipe. The pump's already removed. Inlet valve for the water's already removed. I took that off, and there it is. There. Pressure switch that I mentioned earlier. That's the flexible hose that goes at the bottom of the detergent drawer assembly that connects to the top of the outer drum. It's got to be flexible to allow for the movement of the outer drum, because the outer drum's on a suspension system. That's just the detergent drawer that comes out of there. You've got the door seal, front door seal with the door seal retainer spring that goes over the lip on the front of the outer drum assembly. The door seal lips on, and on the other side it lips onto the front panel, which is removed earlier in my earlier videos. In my earlier washing machine series videos I took the front retaining spring off, because the panel, this seals between the outer drum and the front panel of which the door is on. That was taken off earlier and it's stored away just now. You can look back on my episode if you want to see that being removed. The triac, I think it's called, was it AC/DC or something? My dad has done work on this. After the brushes had burned out, it tripped the switch in the meter. It caused a problem, a short or something. It maybe overdrew too much current or something. It caused a problem anyway, but I'm pretty sure he had this off before, of which I could go into this deeper in another future video. That's the thermometers, the water temperature sensor. Tells the machine when the water's up to the desired temperature that you set it for. This is the door interlock that goes in the front panel. I don't know how this quite works yet. I could dive deep into this. I could break into this and have a deeper look at this in a later video in due course, not just now. Suspension springs top that I covered already. That's just the remains of the drain hose that came off the back. Came off that outlet there. I think that's briefly just give you a brief overall view of my understanding of what these parts do and how it all, what their jobs are in this front loader of fully automatic washing machine. Right, time to tidy up. It's your mains cable. It just goes into the capacitor, mains capacitor, which smooths out any voltage surges, power surges, because when the motor starts and it draws a lot of current, it could cause a surge of power.
So they have that capacitor there, which is basically storing electricity to dampen out the surges. It works something like that anyway. It's a suppressor capacitor. Without it, it would cause problems around the house regarding other appliances. Your lights would probably, your kitchen light for example, might flicker, or it might go dim every now and again when it's drawing a lot of current, when the washing machine is drawing a lot of current, cause interference and all that kind of stuff on your radio and TV. And I think this is what that suppressor's there to prevent that happening. So all the surges and all the rest of it is only kept in the machine, because all the surges that are going on in there, it's like a reservoir of electricity. It buffers out the surges of power. Without that, it would just go right through the wires and into the main supply of your house and cause the buffering effect to go on there, which they don't want to interfere with other things, electrical things. So all the buffering effects with loads going on and off, especially the motor on startup, it's all done within there. So it's that as a kind of reservoir to buffer the, if it draws lots of current, there's current in there to draw on rather than drawing it off the mains voltage and causing it to surge in the house. I think it's something like that. My dad's an electrician, he would be able to explain a lot better, but I'm not disturbing him just now, he's busy, so I'm just giving you my understanding of it. Now I've got to go, I've got other things to do later on, I'm going to have to tidy all this up. So I should say I'll get more videos done in future regarding breaking into this, getting right into the individual components. The big one in dreading is taking that inner drum out of that outer drum, get the drum bearing off and everything, get to the big spider at the back. That's the bit that holds the spindle to the inner drum. It's like a brace, they call it a spider because it's splitting the load. Where it's mounted, it's spreading the load round the back of the inner drum, so it's not overworking one part of the drum, it's spreading the forces, the loads, the support of it, because it's supported on the main bearing at the back. So the spider kind of distributes the load all around the back of the inner drum, so it's called a spider. The pulley has to come off, that's the drive pulley with which the belt goes on, which connects to the pulley on the motor. The diameter of the pulley on the motor and the diameter of the spindle at the back will determine the gear ratio of the motor to drum speed for torque reasons and final drive, if you like. Anyway, I'm going to have to tidy this up, the battery's started going this. Right, hope you enjoyed the video, see what else I put on my channel, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.